It's a bantamweight banger at the Apex. Dan Tom here with MMA Junkie to help you break down the main event for UFC on ESPN 35 between Rob Font and Marlon Vera. Font, who is looking to bounce back from a defeat to the former featherweight champion Jose Aldo that took place last year at 135 pounds, trying to get back on the winning streak he had established prior, perhaps put himself back in contention, whereas Vera, who is 2 fights removed from his decision defeat to Jose Aldo, has put together a nice 2-fight winning streak that was capped off with a win over another former champion, Frankie Edgar. Of course, he should be riding high coming into Saturday off of that. At the time of this video, the odds makers in public are siding with Font, albeit slightly in the neighborhood of -145, whereas the comeback on your underdog Vera can be found in the neighborhood of +115 via Tipico Sportsbook. Now, I don't have an issue with Font being favored, nor am I surprised. I don't think he's undeserved of that, but I do like seeing the fight close because to me, personally, this feels like more of a pick'em, and actually, I think it's going to be bet by the public closer to pick'em odds by the time this Saturday happens. Now, what else is close is kind of these guys' sensibilities. Now, they're different fighters, clearly, they're different men, but from a broad spectrum, they share a lot of the same qualities, whether it be they both do better going forward as they do backward. They both have improved their wrestling quietly, both defensively and offensively, and on those on-paper weaknesses, if you will, they both have struggled against similar opposition, and that opposition is fighters who can competently counter, as well as have a bit of a speed edge and work the body. Those are kind of things that have plagued both fighters, so I'm really going to be curious to how they approach each other, especially with Marlon Vera, who's kind of gone more to an orthodox stance, which tends to happen once you polish up your boxing. He was a switch stance, primarily southpaw fighter. That being said, you could still argue that Marlon Vera primarily fights from southpaw, and though Vera has experience against pretty much every southpaw minus Jonathan Martinez at 135, Font surprisingly has very few looks at a high level against that southpaw stance. So I'll be curious if he lets that deter his jab. It shouldn't. In a perfect world, I see Font having early success, and if this gets to the scorecards, we could be looking at a fight where we're measuring Font's early success versus Vera's late success, with a mixture of surprise takedowns at top position versus how busy Vera is from the bottom, because Vera can be very busy from the bottom, active with strikes and submissions. That being said, I think submission is the operative word. I feel like this fight ends in a submission. We've seen Font kind of respond to that to pressure. A little more sporadic in his early days, a little bit more desperate shots. He's cleaned up that aspect, but can still be forced into shots and will relinquish to his back if the shot kind of gets stifled. And Vera, whether the shot is completed or not, he has worked on his wrestling and is always dangerous. In fact, that small octagon, I think, will favor Vera, who is ultimately more varied and more dangerous in multiple phases, particularly the clinch, which I think will be encouraged by the small octagon. For more details, results, stats, and everything else, go to MMAJunkie.com, where you can find my in-depth breakdown for this fight, as well as results this weekend.